Hey everyone, HeatherAsh here. So we are reading Warrior Goddess Training together. Happy weekday, everyone. So we are celebrating the 7th birthday of Warrior Goddess Training, which was last month. And as part of that celebration, I'm reading from the book, starting from lesson 1. We've been reading for about 6 weeks now. And so we are now stepping into lesson 8. Which is on speaking your truth. Good morning. So as you tune in, feel free to share where you're tuning in from, and we'll start reading in a second. Again, right now we're on lesson 8 on Speak Your Truth, and we're going to be talking about the heart-throat connection today. We're on page 115, and finding your authentic voice. And today we will finish this lesson, and then we'll start on lesson 9, embody your wisdom. Good morning, Connie, Doreen, Coy. I'm in North Carolina now. I'm visiting my mom and just did a fire walk. So amazing. First public fire walk. Well, it wasn't public, it was first a closed group, but first fire walk for a group in many, many moons. So probably in almost 2 years. I did it out at Venus Rising at my friend Star Wolf's place. Really beautiful. Hello. Perfect. Good morning. Hey, Jody. And is it Foina? Fona? I want to make sure I'm saying your name right. Can you phonetically put it in the chat for me? It's a beautiful name. All right, heart. I know, me too. Hey, Carrie. Hey, Linda. Yeah, fire walking was great. It was so beautiful. Let me share photos with you really quick. This is a picture of the photo from Fina. Thank you. Can you see? There we go. It's a picture of the fire from way above. And then here was it burning. So super fun to do a fire walk. Thanks, Fina. Okay, Rebel. Hello, April, Donna, Mary. Yeah, we stayed in the Blue Ridge in the Smoky Mountains. So beautiful out there. So, okay. Page 115, Warrior Goddess Training. We're on lesson 8, Speak Your Truth. And our focus is the heart-throat connection. Good morning. Coming from your heart is vital when learning to speak your truth. If we don't really mean what we say, it won't matter how well we say it. People we are speaking to will feel the lack of sincerity behind the words. It is powerful to dedicate yourself to speaking your truth with your open heart, even if that truth is difficult, rather than trying to be gentle or appropriate and speak with your heart closed. One way we close our heart and throat is when we believe we are doing something wrong. So again, looking deeply into our unconscious beliefs is crucial. Is it okay to say no? Is it okay for you to make boundaries? Is it okay for you to say things others may not want to hear? Can you speak without taking responsibility for others' reactions? And can you do all of these things with your heart wide open? This takes practice. Speaking your truth is often not something we are supported to do, but it is a skill we can learn to do gracefully. If you fail to speak your truth, your internal energy will then either build up and eventually explode in an emotional outburst, or your energetic flow will be cut off and you will feel like your access to your pure life force energy has dried up, leaving you feeling lethargic and without passion, timidly saying what you think others want to hear and needing others as a source of energy and direction. When you deny your own voice, this feeds your judge or victim stories rather than your authenticity. and the result is your anger at yourself or others. Finding your authentic voice. Two very helpful tools when working on finding your authentic voice are backtracking and replaying. Backtracking. Backtracking means you make an internal commitment to speaking your truth in the moment, and if you do not, you go back to the person, admit you did not speak your truth, and try again. You may have to backtrack over and over again until you get it right. Here's an example. A friend asks, "Do you want to go to the movie with me tomorrow night?" And you automatically say yes. But after you get off the phone, you realize you really want to stay home and read a book. So instead of going to the movie, you call back and say, "I realized after I got off the phone that I do not want to go to the movie tonight. I need to rest. Can we go to the movie next week?" You do not need to explain yourself or apologize profusely. Simply say what you need. Watch out for defending yourself. The great thing about committing to this practice is that after we backtrack a few times, we learn really quickly to speak honestly in the moment. And the second one is replaying. With replaying, you consciously replay conversations from the past when you didn't speak your truth, but this time you imagine yourself speaking your truth. There are probably plenty of situations you can think of where you realize that you did not speak your truth in that moment. What would speaking your truth have looked like? Replay the situation using your authentic voice. What would you have said differently, and how would it have potentially changed the outcome? I was once in a relationship with a man who felt threatened by the way I was dressing and being in the world. We had long, teary talks about my not being overtly sexual. He was in a place of wanting to have a stable, monogamous relationship. At the time, I was just beginning to explore my sexuality, and if I had been honest with myself and him, I would have said, "Sweetie, I care a lot about you and really want to be in relationship with you, but right now I need to play and flirt and explore being sexy." He might have said, "Okay, I can hold with that as long as we keep these agreements," and may have negotiated, or he may have said, "I cannot do that." Instead, we spent 3 tumultuous years in a relationship where I repressed my sexual energy. You can imagine what that did for our sex life. And he felt cut off. We were in different places in our needs, but both of us ignored the truth of this. Looking back, I see how powerful it would have been to speak my truth and not be ashamed of it or cling to being in relationship with him in a way that he wanted to be in relationship. It is a gift to yourself and others when you are truly, open-heartedly honest. This starts with speaking the truth to yourself first, over and over again. In doing so, you will gain self-intimacy and trust, which will naturally spill over into all of your relationships. Okay, so here is lesson 8, resources, and we're going to talk about this. Gifts. Clear communication often means unlearning bad habits, and sometimes we need to go back to first grade basics. Speaking our truth is often as uncomfortable as it is empowering. Learn to communicate in whole messages to increase intimacy and connection. An open heart is a powerful ally, even when we are making boundaries or sharing difficult information. Yes. Good morning, April. Good morning from Teotihuacan, Ometeotl. Hello. Beautiful. So here are our explorations, and we can talk a little bit more about communication. Finding your truth. To learn more about your own truth in communicating, write down everything you believe about how you should communicate in the world. Write without thinking. Read the list over and notice which agreements, thoughts are about getting a desired result, reaction from the person you are talking to, and which stem from your authentic expression. And then this is a game that we play in the Warrior Heart community. Vent, advice, share in Warrior Goddess community. My friend and I play a simple game that helps us stay present with each other. If one of us needs to vent and express our frustration after a hard day, we say vent. The other person can say, "Give it to me." One person takes 5 minutes to vent as fully and dramatically as possible. And once those 5 minutes are up, you stop and move on. We can also say not now, which means I don't have the space for your vent right now. If we need advice, we say advice, so the other knows to get their creative brain in gear. And if we say share, that means I'm really excited about something, cheerlead and celebrate with me. What games could you create with your family, friends, or partners? Yes. So lesson 8, speak your truth. Lots to unpack here. There's lots to learn about how to speak our truth. And so often we didn't get the training around how to be honest with ourselves, how to be honest with others. And so one of the things that these last 2 sections talk about is learning to connect the heart with the throat. And when I'm talking about authentic sharing from the heart and speaking your truth, what I'm not talking about is just dumping. Okay, we talked about this a little bit on Friday, but that sometimes people get this idea of like, I'm just going to vent or dump all my frustrations or all my fears, and that's me communicating. And that's not communicating, that's venting, which is a kind of communication, but it doesn't actually create often connection. It creates people to move away because you're not sharing what's deeply going on for you. There's the surface. So remember that being authentic with your communication, yes, you might be afraid, you might have all sorts of things going on, complaining, dumping, venting over and over again is not clear communication. It's a type of communication. What we want to learn to do is to be able to say, and I love, again, the messages book. What's my observation? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? And what are my needs? And to be able to say that I have a sense of frustration right now. And I'm a little scared because I don't know where to go next. And so let me share what's happening with me. And then, so when you're sharing and you're not sure how to do it, you can say, I don't know how to do this, but I want to try. And that we're learning how to do things in a different way. We're learning first to be honest with ourselves. And that in itself is huge. Being honest with what's actually going on with me and separating out the story from the feelings. Like, what am I thinking versus what I'm feeling? Those are 2 different things, the story versus the feelings. And as we create that separation, we can start to really be with the feelings. And then that allows us to communicate more clearly. Yeah. Good morning, Teresa. Yeah. I'm not very good at keeping my thoughts on paper journaling. You have any other recommendation to sustain a good journal practice? Yeah, the thing about journaling is that you're not trying to, it's not for anyone else. Good morning, Serena. It really is, don't think about it and write out notes. Just write. And so there isn't a correct way to do a journal. I know some people that it's easier for them to keep notes, to like speak out loud and record it and then play it back to themselves. So really what you're doing with journaling is you're going back and forth with yourself. You're having a conversation with yourself through paper or through speaking. And so that's one thing that you can do. Yeah, perfect. Serena just wrote, I do art doodles when I don't have words. That is super helpful too. Yeah. Yeah. And for those of you that can't see the comments, remember I am streaming, or you don't have to remember because you might not know this at all. I'm streaming from a platform onto many, many different platforms. And so some of you aren't going to be able to see the chat because you're in one area. So waving to all of you right now. This is being broadcast to both of my Facebook pages, YouTube, Hierophant Publishing, and the Warrior Goddess Training page. So hello to all of you folks that are through the publisher, through Hierophant Publishing, the Warrior Goddess Training Circle. We're also broadcasting live on that page. I think that is it. So there's a lot of different pages that we're broadcasting to right now. Yeah. Yeah, no worries. So if you can't see the comments, that's why. All right. So any other questions or comments around communication? This is obviously lesson 8. We could really spend a lifetime on all of these different lessons. Yeah. I'd like to learn to stop complaining so much. It just takes practice. No, we often had bad habits around communication. If you just realize it's just a bad habit, it's something that you learn to do. It feels familiar. It probably feels safe, even if it's making you unhappy. It's familiar. And so to do the work of starting to course correct yourself. No, you can play games. The idea of the venting, you can do that with yourself. Okay, sweetheart, you've got 5 minutes to complain about everything, and you literally set a timer and complain. Not to anybody else. You can set up a, a pillow. Here's a little pillow in a chair. I'm going to put the pillow in the chair, and here I'm going to sit and talk to my pillow about all the things that I'm really upset about. Now, it seems really silly, right? It's cathartic because you're learning to speak out loud. Yeah, and so practice, 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 and don't beat yourself up. So many of the lessons in Warrior Goddess training I picked those particular areas because they're areas that we often really struggle in and that we didn't get good training and we're learning. And so it's Warrior Goddess training because just like a workout, you don't think, well, I'm going to go work out once, I'm going to go lift weights once, or I'm going to go run and get my heart rate up, and then I'm done. You know that training is something that you do over and over again to build your stamina, to build your capacity, to build your resiliency, to become more healthy. And it's the same thing with the 10 lessons in Warrior Goddess training. They're different training in different areas of your life. You can think of them almost as different machines that you're going to learn, or different uh, asanas, or different moves that you're going to learn to strengthen a core part of yourself. Learning to communicate is one of those core parts, and it's a lifetime. A lifetime. Yes. Beautiful. My intent seed is to have clearer verbal communication. Thank you. Yeah, and whoever just wrote that, I don't see your name, so if you want to share, it just says Facebook user. If you want to share your name, that would be great. Yeah. Yeah. And the venting, yes. So Serena just wrote, so this idea of like just complaining and venting to a pillow or to a stuffed animal. Serena, right? Eventually I gets bored after a minute or so. It's hilarious. Yeah, and then you start laughing at yourself. Hey, Cherie, thanks for sharing. That's great. Beautiful, April. I love this. I use flashcards every day with basic emotions to help me understand what I'm feeling and why. Yeah, I have complex um, PTSD, so this helps a lot. Yes, and I am such a big fan of any ways that we can get more in touch with our emotions, so we know how to talk about them, and to have a chart, to have flashcards, to be able to go, oh, right, this is disappointment, this is grief, this is frustration, this is longing. I've had experiences where I thought I was upset around something, and when I actually checked in with what I was feeling, I realized I was actually happy, but my brain was doing something weird with it. Doreen, I would say out loud. Practice out loud. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And these habits that we have with our communication, like my habit that I still fall back into is trying to not create conflict. And that doesn't help, right? You might look better in the short run, but what I've learned over my lifetime now is that whenever I'm trying to avoid conflict by not speaking or by not asking questions and I wait, it usually gets worse instead of better. And it is, again, like exercise. Sometimes you don't wake up and be like, "Yay, I wanna run around." Like, I feel like exercising. I find for me, again, that happens after I've been doing it for a while, then my body's like, "Yes, let's do this." But in the beginning, I don't wanna do it. And I feel stuck, I feel tired, I don't know where to start, I feel creaky. And once I start, whatever the exercise is, Once I'm in it, then my body's like, yes, this feels good. It's the same thing with communicating. At first, it's really hard, but after a while, as you start to practice and get willing to speak the truth to yourself and to start practicing speaking the truth to others and separating out what am I feeling versus what's the story, as we start to separate these things out, we start to really fall in love with the truth. And we much more, we have more capacity and desire to speak, to ask good questions, to get clear with things rather than avoiding. Mhm. Yes. And Sheree just wrote, sometimes I'm guilty to be happy. Yeah, we're not, we have a lot of stories about what it means to be happy. And that stories that we tell ourselves might be, I have to always be happy, or it might be, I'm not allowed to be happy because other people are unhappy, like whatever it is. So that's part of this learning to speak our truth and using our voice from the heart is to start to look at what are we telling ourselves? What's our own inner dialogue? Are we speaking to ourselves from a clear place, or are we speaking to ourselves from the past, from old agreements and beliefs that actually don't serve us? And we actually, sometimes you have ways of communicating with yourself or ways of acting, old habits that you don't even believe in anymore, but it's just so familiar to do them. And sometimes you don't even realize what you believe in. So this is why we have to really speak the truth to ourselves, to get really curious. What am I saying to myself? And to listen. Big part of communicating is listening. What am I saying to myself? And is that really how I want to talk to myself? Or is that really how I want to perceive the world? Is this really how I want to think? Okay. If the answer is no, you don't have to beat yourself up for it or feel guilty. It's then, okay, next steps, unravel the story. Start to look at where the agreements are. This is what we do in the Warrior Goddess training circle, is that precious work of untangling, calling our energy back so that we can be more present, more inspired, more connected to our intuition, clearer with our intent. All right. We can, if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to ask. Tomorrow, we are going to start with lesson 9, embody your wisdom. Mhm. Today, so in my childhood, it seems whenever I was happy, my brother would hit me. I have to tell myself I'm grown up now and it's okay to show being happy. Yeah, and sometimes we have these rewirings to do from experiences that we had. So it's talking to ourselves. You're an adult now, sweetie. You're safe. You can speak your truth. And that we get to look at, there's an interesting thing around speaking our truth and the agreements is to start pulling different evidence. So you have evidence, in Teresa's case, and in many of us, we have evidence around getting in trouble when we spoke our truth or being hurt if we were happy or whatever happened. And you also get to look at where are the places where I spoke my truth and I didn't get in trouble, because you're also going to find that evidence as well. And we can gather evidence around the negative, and our brains tend to remember the negative more. We also get to go and look at gathering evidence around the positive. Where did it actually work? What were the benefits? So that's part of our journey as well, of this sorting, is not to deny the past. And we're not talking about pretending like hard things didn't happen. It doesn't work. Tell ourselves the truth and then look at, how am I in relationship to this story? What is also true here? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Awesome. Again, tomorrow we'll go back into Warrior Goddess training. We're stepping into lesson 9, embody your wisdom. And we'll be starting on page 119. So same place. So wherever you're tuning in from now, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, we'll be back here with lesson 9 tomorrow. I'm doing readings weekdays. It is at 7 a.m. Los Angeles or Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern or New York time, 3 p.m. London or British summer time. So you can tune back in here. We also are leaving the recordings up for about a day or two. Yeah. And one more invite to the Warrior Goddess Training Circle. And Cherie, the question I asked myself, am I telling myself the real truth? Yeah, that's a beautiful. Is this the real truth? Is there a deeper truth that's here? It's a great way to be in relationship with yourself. Yeah. So for those of you that are just joining, welcome again. My name is HeatherAsh Amara, reading from Warrior Goddess Training. And we have a really beautiful circle that we are stepping into on Wednesday, Warrior Goddess Training Circle. So I know many of you that are here are already part of the circle, and we are starting the journey of the 9 moons on Wednesday. Oh, so good. And for those of you that are just tuning in, if you are looking for more support and ways to take the Warrior Goddess lessons into your life, learning how to speak your truth, make boundaries, be clear in your communication, how to release old agreements and patterns, how to cut cords of places that you're corded to other people, or old patterns from your ancestors, learning how to be in relationship with your energy so you're not leaking energy, that you're learning how to bring more energy into your being and hold that energy and choose where to direct it. There are so many different shamanic techniques, really practical guidance, beautiful community of other people that are on a journey of healing and transformation and steadiness and stillness and self-intimacy. We would love to have you join us. So right now the circle is open. It is free through November 1st. So any of you want to come in for the next week and just check out, does this feel like a good match? You are so welcome to do that. We're going to be closing the circle in the next week or two. And so it's open now for this particular cohort, our fall 2021 cohort. And we are going together through what we call the journey of the 9 moons, which is a much deeper dive into the lessons in Warrior Goddess Training. A lot of teachings that are in the book, but also a lot of teachings that aren't in the book, that aren't anywhere else. I have not written them down except for as part of the journey of the 9 moons. So you are so welcome. If you want to check it out, get more support, get more energetic guidance around all of the things that we've been talking about. Yeah, me too. So the circle is, you can learn more about the circle, warriorgoddess.com/circle. So I'm going to write it here. warriorgoddess.com/circle. Go check it out. Circle. And then you can use coupon code is YAY, Y-A-Y. Okay. Come play with us in the circle. I will probably be reading for another week or two, and we're getting close to the end of the book. So it's been so fun to be doing these journeys with you. We will come to a close when we finish lesson 10. Then I'm going to start doing this on Instagram as well, of reading from Warrior Goddess Training and starting a podcast. Yay! So look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Those of you that can join, again, you can come in, and hey, to those of you that are watching the recording, so glad that you could catch it as well. Tomorrow we will go into lesson 9, Embody Your Wisdom. And I really look forward to continuing on our journey with the journey of the 9 moons for those of you that are going to be joining us in the circle, and also reading the rest of the lessons. Thanks so much for joining, dear ones. Take good care of yourself. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.